Hey guys, I'm back. How's it going? But anyways, this is character bios for XO Manowar. Now, obviously you're like, hey, this looks different. Yeah, it's different. One thing for 2015 we're really trying to do is take our old dogs, like, our shows like character bios, comic book verses, etc., etc. Take those old dogs and give them some new tricks. Those new tricks being like a new design, maybe a new person doing something, just that as an example. We have a lot planned for 2015. This is one of those things. So essentially think of this as Character Bios Season 2. So hope you guys like this. Obviously leave feedback below, and if you want to compare it with, what Character Bios have looked like in the past, because definitely they've come a long way, feel free to look at the old ones. Obviously, we have a playlist up there for you guys. You can always check them out. We've done, I believe this one's 53, so we have tons of bios you guys can check out. There's tons of variety with them too, villains, heroes, anti-heroes, supernatural themed, regular iconic hero, based like Superman, Batman. There's teenage heroes, Jaime Reyes, Peter Parker. There's, special characters such as like Spider-Gwen, Superior Spider-Man. But anyways, I don't want to waste too much more time. Let's get right into this bio. Eric of Dacia. He was heir to the Visigoth throne. His uncle was the king of the Visigoths, but his uncle had no son, or at least no living son. Thus, Eric was chosen to take up the crown once his uncle died. Now, the Visigoths were a proud nomadic nation, forced from their lands by the Roman Empire around the 5th century, maybe a little bit before that, but definitely not after the 5th century began. Now, Eric, due to this nature, what I just said, he was raised in battle, becoming a great warrior for the Visigoths, and also a good commander in his own right too, even though he suffered from being a bit, headstrong and not patient at times. Now, one day after the Battle of Plentia, which I just totally mispronounced, which I feel ashamed because I'm half Italian myself, but anyways, Eric notices that the women and children of the Visigoths are missing. Now, among those are Eric's mother and also his wife. So obviously Eric, this feels like a very personal attack to him, and he definitely wants to take the fight to the Romans. Now, his uncle, on the other hand, wants to take a more diplomatic solution, or at least not solution, but he wants to take a very diplomatic course of action, which is to contact the Roman, commanders, the generals, and ask them, basically not bargain, but kind of talk with them about how to go about this with the least amount of violence possible. Now, Eric, like I said before, he's very headstrong. He's not very patient. He decides to take a group of people and go rescue them while also killing the Romans. Now, on the way there, though, to where they think the Romans are, camped out at, they run into these strange humanoids that are dressed in like armor, which they misidentify as Romans. So Eric and his group attack them, but are defeated very quickly, as it turns out these strangers are actually aliens with very advanced technology, as you can see in the picture. Now, the aliens, as we end up learning, are called the Vine. Now, they take Eric and the survivors of the group that didn't get slaughtered in that attack onto their ship into deep space. We don't know where in space they exactly are at, but we know it's pretty deep in space. Now, the Visigoths are used as slaves, forced to do very tiring and sometimes painful tasks. Now, one of Eric's friends, his best friend actually, Gafty, is attacked by a guard one day. They're basically doing farming work, and Gafty, I guess, doesn't do what's to be expected. Actually, if you want to know specifically what he does, he takes a bite out of a fruit. I guess they didn't like that. The guards attack Gafty, and Eric tries defending him, but in return he gets his left hand cut off. I know it says right here that is a typo, but he gets his left hand cut off. And after this, they continue as slaves for an unknown amount of years, not more than 10 years, I assume. I'd say probably like 3 to 5 more years. Now, after being tortured briefly by a guard without cause, Eric, he finally has enough and decides the Visigoths must fight back. And, actually practicing patience this time, he's able to, with other men under his, kind of leadership, they're able to map the ship out and create a plan. Now, this is actually very successful. The Visigoths begin their rebellion. the following day, making their way to where they believe the armory is. But instead of an armory, they find a very religious room with like a priest and everything, and just an orb, a floating orb. Now the orb goes on to Eric, and Eric takes the orb, and the orb is revealed to actually be a sentient armor called Shanhara, which is what the Vine worship. Now Eric seemingly dies upon bonding with the army, just like all the other Vine people before him have, but soon gets up, shocking everyone. And with this extremely powerful armor, he's able to kill the remaining Vine members, and also he's able to regrow his hand. Eventually, though, during the fighting, he's actually blasted out of the ship. So the armor teleports him back to Earth, where he appears in modern-day Rome. It's total relativity. Watch Interstellar if you want to get a relatively good explanation on that subject. Now, initially confused and hostile, Eric soon understands the situation he's in. The armor is able to give him some information, and also just from, looking around and everything, he's able to tell, I'm not in the world I used to be in. I'm not in the 5th century anymore. Now, from this, he is able to find out that there's more Visigoth slaves on the Vine homeworld, so he goes there, slaughters the Visigoths, or slaughters the Vine, and saves the rest of the Visigoths, and brings them back to Earth, where he's given safe haven in the United States. In return, though, for his service in fighting certain threats as Exo Manowar. So Exo Manowar is the actual name he's given. He's also part of the Team Unity, which is a team assembled all across the world with like certain special people, basically. So it's basically Valiant's Justice League, also a very good title. So let's get into his abilities. His abilities are superhuman strength, speed, stamina, durability, senses, reflexes. He has flight, energy projection, teleportation, and he's also a master combatant. A lot of that is from the armor, but the master combatant is without the armor, especially. There was an issue of his comic where he's challenged to a fight by one of the Visigoth survivors. Basically they're like, why should you be leader, without the armor, you're just like us. And he beats the guy to a pulp. And he's been fighting all his life too, so he's definitely a threat. He killed tons of Vine on the ship before he got the armor. And with the armor, even though he has energy projection, like energy blasts, he still prefers making like an energy sword and just slaughtering people with the energy sword, still being a very close ranged fighter. Sometimes when I'm explaining to people that don't read the comic, it's easier to say that it's very much like the Blue Beetle armor that Jaime Reyes has. It's very much like that with Iron Man also. So thinking about it in those terms, it's pretty cool. But all in all, that's about it. Actually, it's very much like Jaime Reyes' Blue Beetle armor, because if you read the origins of the armor, it's basically like the same principle, like, they're there to infiltrate, destroy, stuff like that. Kind of like the Reach. But anyways, that's it for this. I don't want to make it too long. Hope you guys like the new design and layout. Let me know, and I'll see you guys later.